Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Wine Steward weekly video. It's the best way to kind of touch you, reach out and say hello and be still somewhat personable instead of just an email and just a Facebook post and so on. So connecting with you this way has been kind of fun. I feel like I've gotten a little more comfortable with doing it, not sweating as much, and my hair is getting better and better looking anyway, so don't you want to check in on that every week after all? So here we are with tons of things to tell you this week. And once again, even though we promised that we'll always keep it brief, and I think we actually do per everything we tell you, this won't be brief, but I promise to keep it brief. Let's just dive right in and hit some minor news until the main topic, which, just to jump ahead, is going to be about wine club wines, because it is in fact that time of the month. Wine club wines are ready to pick up for June, and we wanted to run through a few of them with you, give you some kind of video tasting notes on perhaps 5 of those wines. Well, that's about 3 or 4 topics down the line. So let's address first access to the Wine Steward, where it's about to change. I think perhaps one of the only silver linings of this whole deal that's gone on for 3 months now is the fact that you've been more easily obtaining the Wine Steward. You've been able to pull up virtually to the front of our store and get the best parking place in town and come right in with a mask on, or have us bring wine out to you if you wanted curbside pickup, which is still available to you. Well, as you have almost certainly heard, downtown Pleasanton is going to start closing, Main Street in particular, and St. Mary's, I believe, off to the side, to all vehicular traffic for most of the weekend. In fact, all of the weekend, Friday night through Sunday night. For the next several weeks, Main Street closed. Parking once again will suck. So anyway, we want you to be able to access us. We're very concerned that even though we're happy for the restaurants being able to have some more business now, be open to more people and get some more seating because of the street closure, all of a sudden we're kind of back to the Wine Steward dilemma of not being easy to get to. And we just want to keep you abreast of the fact that there are options. You can keep coming to the Wine Steward for pickup and curbside, but now let's consider the back parking lot, the new curb. All right, so what you can do is, as you have been, many of you have already been, give us a call ahead of time saying you're on your way, you've already got an order in, perhaps you've sent me an email saying, fix us up with a box of this and this and this for this price point, or you've been working with our website and you've got an online order ready to pick up. You just let us know, hey, we're gonna be at the back door in 5 minutes. Don't look for a parking place back there. That parking lot is now getting to be an issue. So just double park. It's not gonna hurt for 30 seconds for somebody to have to wait. And you just give us a ring, we come out back, load you up. Back parking lot, one option, okay? The other thing is to just steer clear of weekend shopping. And as those days, we're a bit worried about this because the Friday and Saturday and Sunday thing is the best thing for retail in general, and definitely that which makes the Wine Steward boat float. So hopefully we can change behavior a little bit and do some shopping on weekdays. We're taking a look at our hours right now. We might extend them farther into the evening, whereas we've only been closing only at like 5 or 6 every evening. We're talking about going a little later so that now as people are going back to work, getting off work, they want to hit the store, Monday through Thursday, maybe we'll stay open a little later. So stand by, we're working on that. At any rate, shop weekdays, use the back parking lot. And finally, just to remind you, there is parking out there. It just takes some more walking. So the most obtainable parking that is almost always available is the gravel lot next to the railroad tracks off of St. Mary's. So give that a try. It's approximately 790 steps to get here from there. Good exercise. One other thing we're working on, and I know we said we were working on it, we are still working on it, we can deliver to you. So it needs to be a reasonable order, let's just say, and we'll define that further soon, but we can bring you within a certain reasonable distance, a reasonable order, let's just say that. And before we have this all fine-tuned and announced officially on our website, let's just say you can email me, jim@theWineSteward.com, and we'll figure something out. Bring the wine to you. Got to have an adult there to receive it. That's one quirk, but we're eager to take care of you any way we can. So access the Wine Steward one way or the other, please. Okay, point number 2, topic 2. It's a big one. As of today, you will be able to go onto our website and purchase an event. So as most of you know, over the years we've been putting on events here on our mezzanine. First 42 to RSVP have been able to attend and hear for 2 hours perhaps a particular dignitary, an importer or a producer of wine, perhaps a winemaker. Once in a while it's yours truly filling in to speak on one topic of wine, perhaps France, Italy, or all of the wines of one particular winery or one importer's wines. And so those familiar with those events are certainly aware that this is about the time when a guy named Tom Kelly would be announced. His coming would be sometime in the middle of July, and this is about when we would send the invitation out. Well, we can't have Tom up here on the mezzanine yet. We want Tom. We love the way he speaks for his wines. He's an advocate, and his wines that he brings are fantastic. So it's two birds with one stone. You've got great quality and a great person talking about it. Let's get Tom in front of you with a Zoom conference, all right? We're gonna do that. We alluded to this last month or last week, and now we affirmed it up. So on Tuesday, June 30th, we're gonna have a Zoom conference at 4 p.m. So anybody buying the 5 wine sampler pack that you'll now see on the website can participate. You don't necessarily have to open all 5 while we're doing this Zoom thing, but he will be talking about all 5. And some people will in fact want to get them all open and drink them up over the next 3 days. So there is, of course, the theme of Italy. There is the personage of Tom Kelly, who I know a lot of you have already come to know and love because we've had him here, like I think 8 times. It's going to be a terrific first-timer Zoom event for us. We're offering as another item a food pack, recommended 2 types of cheese and a bit of charcuterie, some crackers, and perhaps some olives to go along in a handy-dandy pack that you can have and keep enjoying because there will be a little more cheese than you 2 people will actually need for the event. So that'll be offered as a side item, an option, not required. And essentially, as I said, go to the website, look under shop, and in a couple of different places you're gonna see this Italy 5 wine pack offered, Tom Kelly Presents, and that item is, I think it's something like $110.99 for 5 really delicious bottles of wine. And Wine Club members, you will get 10% off by using your new code that we have provided. We'll get back to that code. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna figure out the logistics of Zoom at long last. So more details, as I keep saying, or almost saying, and now I'll finally say it, more details will be found under the actual item, 5-pack item. Hit it, and then you'll see all the rules and regulations and fun that we are in for with this Tom Kelly appearance. Can't wait to do this. It's about time we had him back. What we have in front of you right now, there's always a product sitting here at the beginning of the video, is not a bottle of wine. It's a bottle of olive oil. So I'd like to know how many bottles of olive oil you have on your kitchen counter. Most of us have at least one, and a lot of us, like who are really into taste and character and let's just say quality, have 2. One is for the cooking, where you heat up the olive oil and you know you're gonna burn off any nuance it might have, so that's the less expensive stuff. And then there's stuff like this. So if you are not just a olive oil cook, but also a, let's say, drizzler, you need wonderful olive oil. You know it, you're already sold on the idea. You know you're gonna spend a little bit more, but you know there's a difference. And we have just found you yet another example of it. So you've never seen this, I don't think, ever in California before. This comes from Spain, from the region of Rioja. What you have probably seen, if you've been shopping the Wine Steward long enough, is its partner. This olive oil comes from this place. So, Vinsacro Rioja, many of you have loved it over the years. We've carried, gosh, I think at least 15 different, not 15, but 5 different vintages of this beautiful, full-bodied dark Rioja from Rioja Oriental, formerly known as Rioja Baja. And it's gorgeous, we have it in stock, and now you can have its partner olive oil. So it's a rather robust flavor, it's elegant, and yet it's got a bit of that pepper in the finish. So this is olive oil that is not necessarily discreet, it's olive oil that tastes like something, which I prefer. If I'm gonna spend extra money for olive oil, I want some real character. This has it. And I think we have only 30 bottles in stock, so jump. You're gonna see this on our website any minute now. I'll be posting it. So just a nice food product for you to be aware of. And the cool thing is, It's the partner of a wine that you've been drinking and loving for many, many years now, if you've been hanging out at the Wine Steward long enough. Alrighty. Before we get to the Wine Club wines, I have one other wine to talk to you about that is extremely close to my heart. It's of a wine style, a wine type that is near and dear to me as well, and something that we've been effective with selling at the Wine Steward for many years. As you know, we do pretty darn well selling Italian wine. We also excel with Spanish, I'd say. Obviously, we have tons of wonderful domestic wines from here in California, Washington, and Oregon. But a thing that just like resonates for so many of you once you've gotten into it is wines from the Rhône Valley. So the Rhône Valley has a river running through it called the Rhône River, and it's in the south of France. We are in northern Provence, and I'm getting kind of elementary school on you because a lot of you folks perhaps haven't made the jump yet. So for those of you who have, sorry, but we're just going to get a little basic about Rhône. So south of France, there's a southern Rhône region and another northern Rhône region. They're separated by about a 45 minutes drive. In the northern Rhône, the only red grape at play is Syrah. In the south, that's where you get your so-called GSM blends. This is the original template, the original concept of Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre being wonderfully symbiotic, and they're helping each other out and making one gorgeous wine. So one wine that you have probably heard of is Côte de Rhône. And Côte de Rhône is the inexpensive wine from that area. This is the one that Kermit Lynch brings over. That's perhaps the best-selling import wine in our store because it's delicious every year and it's inexpensive. I think this gets down into like perhaps below $11 for you Wine Club members with your discount. So this good old Côte de Rhône, and at the other extreme in the southern Rhône, you've got that very fancily named, and just to impress, I'll put a big magnum of it in front of you, Chateauneuf de Pape. So Chateauneuf de Pape is not $11.99 a bottle. It costs quite a bit more because it's more famous, and in fact it is more profound. It is not just perhaps, it is more ageable, cellar worthy. It's a truly great wine. This is very good wine. This is great wine. And then when you go to the Rhône and you perhaps want to buy up from here, it's a weekend, it's no longer a weekday, and yet it's not a holiday yet, you perhaps want to have a village wine from somewhere near Chateauneuf de Pape. So that's when a lot of you have learned to look for village names on a label, like Gigondas and Vaqueiras and Rasteau and so on. And I have a wine like that to tell you about today that's at that moderate price. And let's just get it in front of you because there is nothing like this label. Drop dead gorgeous. This label had a lot to do with the design of our own Plou de Vie Mourvedre based wine that we make for the store. As you can see, it's very ancient looking and cool. And the label's just the beginning. I want to talk for a little bit about this wine, but stay with the Rhône in general, first of all. What do we anticipate, we who have not had Rhône wines before, from Rhône wine? From Rhône Reds, that is, because there are whites and rosés from there as well. So there are nuances that surround a main theme of flavor, and those nuances might be black pepper, perhaps even white pepper. How about a certain sense of herbs de Provence? Any self-respecting Rhône Red will have a sense of airborne dried herbs, lavender and thyme, perhaps rosemary, but herbs de Provence is often a descriptor we're using for Rhône wines. You might even detect a certain kind of meatiness in the wine. It's not offensive at all. It's just a cool, intriguing extra quality. But what is at the base? What is the central flavor of most Rhône Reds? It's this thing right here. It's a cherry, right? Yep, it's a cherry. Cherry, that's a good one. Is the prevalent middle of the whole experience flavor that you're going to get from a great Southern French red Rhône blend. And in fact, sometimes that cherry is so extreme that we're talking instead about the liqueur version of cherry, which anybody, do you know? Kirsch. So when we see the descriptors for a Chateauneuf de Pape or a wine from Gigondas or Vaqueiras, or here from this village right next door to Vaqueiras called Baume de Venise, you are going to taste and smell things like herbs de Provence and perhaps some smoke, some meat, some pepper, whether it's black or white. And then almost always there's mention of fruit. and the fruit is nearly always cherry, verging on kirsch. To this wine is special to me. I've known this wine for about 15 years, have carried it off and on. It's usually not on the shelf because it just doesn't come to California through the normal avenues. We actually have to work with an importer on the East Coast in order to drag it out here one way or the other. So I got the alarm call, the heads up that this particular vintage, the brand new 2018, is now becoming known enough so that that importer on the East Coast had all of his stash spoken for. But he knew that we have a relationship with this wine, so he was careful to save us 20 cases, and he said, but you got to take it now. So this puts yet another inventory burden on the wine steward, and yet for a wine that I love so much, and most of you, or many of you, have come to know it too, it's just time to get into this wine. I had to jump, and so now all of a sudden there are 20 freaking cases of this downstairs. I'm going home with one case myself. This is an alert to you to get in on this. This is a wine made with Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre, and it also includes 5% Grenache Blanc, interestingly enough. And some text sheets say it may even have a little bit of Marsanne in it. It is beautiful. The wine just arrived. It's a little bit truck sick, so the nose is down just a little bit. But I've been waving this around for the last couple minutes and it's starting to come up. Definitely the kirsch, beautiful spice. This wine is intriguing. It's a 5 to 8 year wine. You can get into it right now. But what I'm going to recommend is something that you may not do with all of your wine drinking. I highly recommend, however, that you have relationships with certain wines that you like. In other words, go in with 4 or 6 bottles. Don't buy one and done. That does it for playing around and having a good time and for adventure. But there is a time for going in deep with one particular wine type when it's durable and when it will have different things to say over the years. And of course, when you have a good way to store it. So cellar temperature for up to 8 years, at least for this wine, will reward you with many experiences. The price, which dips under $25 with your wine club discount, is extremely obtainable. Folks, don't buy one of these, please. Buy 6, buy 4, buy 6, buy a case, and buy it now. Because I think within 2 weeks, we will be done with a wine for its entire vintage. We won't be able to access this again. It's going to be on the website, Domaine de Bernardin, Baume de Venise. You're up against the Dontel de Montmirail in the Southern Rhône. This is freaking beautiful wine, I promise you. It's close to my heart, and it is to those of many of you already. And we just need a few more converts to plow through 20 cases, all right? Wine Club. Main topic of the day, not much time left. I'll talk faster. It is pickup time. June Wine Club wines are ready to pick up. So Wine Club members, remember that the streets will be closed this weekend. Maybe you want to get in here before that, pick up your June Wine Club wines, pick up some other wines and food to go along with it. And if you did not see yesterday's email saying so, we sent out an email that not only had the notes that I wrote about all 12 wines, but also the provision of a code so that you can now put in a discount code when you go to our website to continue to get your 10% discount on there. Because now as we warned last week, we have now reset the pricing to no longer show 10% off for everybody. You hundreds and hundreds of Wine Club members continue to get 10% off, but you gotta use your code. Check yesterday's email. If you can't find it, email me, I'll give you that code, all right? Please don't share the code, but please share with your friends, your non-member friends, the fact that the Wine Club is one hell of a deal. It's a deal as far as adventure. You have somebody who tastes wine for a living choosing wines for you and accessing things you've never heard of otherwise. You get the notes, you get 10% off everything you buy, and once we're doing events again, you get invited to club-only events. So what can you lose? Let's talk about 5 Wine Club wines really fast. And start with this. Actually, that one's cold. I want that one. There we go. We got this right. This wine is too damn easy to drink. It, first of all, opens very easily. It sure smells like fun. I'm smelling citrus, limes in particular. And what I often say about this type of wine is I can imagine where it's grown. This is a very foliated, damp place where hills never go brown like they do here in Northern California. This is an area up in northern Portugal called Vinho Verde, and that's how you pronounce it, and that's in fact what it is. Vinho Verde, many of you say Vinho Verde, is a wine region, not particularly a type of wine, and it's not a particular grape. In fact, Vinho Verde is often made with 3 different grapes, maybe even 4, and in this case, oops, let's check the wine club notes. It is made with, oh, there it is. I knew this a couple days ago when I wrote the notes. In this case, it's Loureiro and Trechadura and Arinto. It can also use the grape called Alvarinho in it, or be all Alvarinho, but anyway, we're in the northern part of Spain making a wine that's low in alcohol, is usually a little bit fizzy, as this one is. I can see some bubbles. They trap CO2 in this wine, so it adds to the fun of it. And once again, lime and perhaps lime leaves, or some kind of leaves that have just been rained on. And it rains up here. This is an area where they have to worry about mildew on the grapes a lot, but they train the grapevines in a certain way so that there's airflow, and they don't have to, they can in fact grow grapes there, because in some instances where you have humidity, forget it, no grapes. That would be very, very easy to chug right now, but I have several hours of work to do. Again, lime, it's super lean, refreshing, good acidity, good brightness, no oak whatsoever. And Eric downstairs, who just arrived, it will be selling this all day. He's a huge advocate. He traveled all over Portugal last year, drank a lot of wine like this. He says, per his experience, this is a very good example. And his tagline or his sales line or pitch will be, you cannot buy 1 bottle. He won't let you buy 1. You have to buy at least 2 bottles of this. You're gonna get home, drink this too quickly, and really wish you had, so might as well take his advice. 2 bottles of Vinho Verde. Good stuff. Portuguese white. Let's show you a wine that we're giving the Wine Adventurer Club this month. Wine Adventurer Club gets 2 bottles of red wine from anywhere in the world but here. So non-domestic reds. This time we take you to Italy for a very friendly wine called Rigoletto. It's from a region called Montecucco, which is not a household term perhaps, but we are in fact in Tuscany in general, and we are going to southern Tuscany, saying hello to Montalcino, where they make the great Brunello, and going a little farther south to a place where they make a perhaps more friendly wine, a wine that you don't have to age, Montecucco Red. So this is going to be made out of Sangiovese, just like a lot of Tuscan reds are. So it has that beautiful brightness, and a little bit of a, I think a Cabernet addition is in there, and a little bit of a grape called Ciliegio, which is fun to say, and we in fact helped you in the notes pronounce that if you want to impress your friends sometime. And they'll say, oh, this has Sangiovese in it. That's good, but what's this other grape? And you'll say, you put a very knowing look on your face and say, oh my God, that's Ciliegio. You know. Anyway, back to the wine. The wine is a more friendly style of Sangiovese. We know that grape is known for bright acidity, and acidity is great for food, but it also has a little level of comfort because it is farther south in a little bit of a warmer part of Tuscany. It's got a generosity, and yet it's not big. So it's medium-bodied but friendly, and we clubbed it last year. People liked it enough for me to say, when I had this new vintage, let's do this again. I think I like this vintage better. This is the 2016, and as we've learned with one Italian wine after another, 16 is the bomb, especially for Tuscan reds. So Rigoletto at $19.99 down to $17.99 represents very nice and affable, friendly value from Tuscany. Now we want to tell you about a wine going to the California Wine Club. And remember, there are 2 wines for each club, but we're just kind of going to summarize and tell you about 1 for each club and tell you about the Fabulist. This is Tempranillo, which we haven't been able to bring you from California very often. I think the last one was from Adam Webb of Odisea. Well, Tempranillo's back on the menu. This is the Fabulist, and it's made by 2 guys named Kurt Schalplin, who owns his own winery, which is called Sans Liège, and another gentleman, and I'll remember his name in a minute, but he has the winery called Field Recordings. And he's a big guy, a really cool, friendly one. Sure wish I could remember his name. There it is, Andrew Jones. It just came up. Andrew Jones has the perspective of not just having a winery of his own, but being a nurseryman. And he's had a hand in planting many of the vineyards on the Central Coast. So he knows where pretty much every acre of vines is to be found down there. So per these two minds, winemaking minds coming together and making a delicious wine, they were able to access Tempranillo from Paso Robles, where their winery is located, and from down farther south, almost to Santa Barbara County, in San Luis Obispo County, in the area called Arroyo Grande. So many of you going down Highway 101 will have passed Pismo Beach. Continuing south, you will be in Arroyo Grande, and all of a sudden you'll see a sign for Leticia. You get off and you can taste wine at Leticia. This actually has Tempranillo from Leticia's vineyard. So you get some coast and you get some inland warm. All of it adds up to a really delicious, friendly, easygoing Tempranillo that has fantastic character if you compare it to the Spanish ones. And once again, California affability is the theme besides the correct flavors. So the Fabulist, I will promise, virtually everybody coming into the store is going to be a crowd favorite because of its styling. Dark, delicious berries, a little bit of chocolate, and once again, a palate feel that is just gracious and easygoing. The Fabulist Tempranillo, that is, I believe, $19.99, $17.99 for you club members using your code or coming in and buying it. Let's tell you about a wine going to our Red Collector Club, and you longtime Red Collector Club members will say, oh, it's that again, and I hope you're happy to see it again. This is a wine with a silly name. I'm not sure how well it shows up on there. Yep, it does. Petit Betard, which means little bastard. If you look carefully at the picture of the castle, you'll see a human body being flung out one of the windows, and I guess that's the poor bastard. Anyway, the wine is delicious. It is the second wine of another higher end wine called Extant. So the cool thing about this month's Red Collector pack is you're getting both wines, both from 2014, one winery's production. You're getting Extant, the higher end, and you're getting this, the Petit Betard. I want to say little bastard, but anyway, Petit Betard sounds just a little more delicious. This is a Bordeaux blend. It uses Cabernet, Merlot, Cab Franc, all those goodies, and it's nicely developed as a 2014, so it's had a little bit of time to hang out and find itself. The other cool thing that winemaker Jeff Gaffner did with it was let it stay for 3 whole years in French oak barrels. That's an unusual time. Most great Cabernets may spend 18 to 24 months in barrel, perhaps 30. Do 36 months make this wine more oaky? Is that the concern? Is that the worry? No. In fact, what his idea is, and I think it plays out in the wine, is that the oak integrates at a certain point. When you try wine out of a barrel that perhaps has only been there for a year, it tastes pretty darn oaky. But the longer it stays in the barrel, the more the flavors of oak gets to know the flavors of the fruit. And that's what we call integration. And it's a good thing that often you have to wait for a long time for that to happen in bottle. In this case, it happens in barrel. The wine and barrel get to know each other for a 36-month long nap. The wine is delicious. It's complex. It's medium to heavy bodied. It's not a full bodied wine, but it's full in character. This is the kind of Meritage or Cabernet blend I prefer to drink. And I think a lot of you are going to admire it, especially for a very decent price. So look for the little bastard. The final wine we want to discuss today, and thanks for your patience. I know I'm a little long-winded, but there was a lot to cover. But I can't go without announcing with perhaps a little trepidation, a little worry about what many of you are going to say, is that we are giving the World Class Club a Pinotage this month. So Pinotage is a grape that was created in the 1920s and 30s in South Africa. It's a bringing together of, I believe it's Pinot Noir and Cinsault. And those two grapes you would think are going to make something delicate. Instead, what came out of that union is a rather robust wine that usually, frankly, stinks. That Pinotage from South Africa is not usually effective. And yet, South Africa puts it forward as their grape. So some people just will not quit trying to get it right. Simon Sig has gotten it right. This is not just gotten right, this has gotten doggone delicious. This is full-bodied, dark Pinotage that still slightly remembers the quirkiness of Pinotage when you smell it. There's just this very faint, interesting, smoky thing going on. But whereas that's usually way too much of a thing in Pinotage, here it is just part of a grander picture that includes like boysenberry fruit and vanilla, because it does see a very generous oak age, and the body is rich and delicious. The alcohol is a little high, so per last week's video, I would chill this down slightly. I would serve it at cellar temperature. It's wonderful with meats off the grill. It has a lot of attitude on its own. It wants to go with other foods that have the same level of attitude. So get into this Pinotage to know that South Africa can do it right. And perhaps I'm maligning the idea a little bit too much, because nowadays more and more people over there are getting it right. Perhaps it should not be eradicated. Perhaps Pinotage should stay in the ground, because now with what we're learning about it, we can make good wine. Great example here. There's one last thing, a homework assignment for you. I want you to look this up on Wikipedia and know that this wine that we talked quite a bit about, those 20 cases of wine, probably have a little bit this going on. Stem inclusion, I forgot to talk about it earlier. Look it up, and when you smell this wine, you'll say, maybe that's what's happening. Anyway, I had to come back to this because this is the wine of the month that will last, if we're good at this wine business thing, for only the next 2 weeks. This is, once again, Bernardin, Domaine de Bernardin, Baume de Venise Rouge. It's beautiful Rhône wine, mid-20s. Do not buy one bottle. Just like Eric says, don't buy just 2 bottles of Vigneault Baird. Don't buy 1, buy 2. I'm saying don't buy 2, buy 6. This is a wine to have a relationship with for the next 4 to 8 years, I promise. Thanks so much, everybody. Good luck getting to us this weekend. Come sooner, pick up your wine club wines, read your wine club notes, and thank you for your membership. God bless.